Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udirayet
Tato Mudiyayet
Srinvatam Swakataha Krishna
Srinvatam
Krishna
Punyashravana Kirtana
Punyasravana Kirtana
Hridyantasto hi abhadrani
Hridyantos
Stoti Abhadrani
Vidhunote suhritsatam
Vidhunoti Suhritsatam
Nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu
Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttam Ashloke
Bhagavati Uttamaśloke
Bhagavate
Bhavati
Shloke
Nistiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki
Naishtiki
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki
Nandanaya
Nanda Gopakumaraya
Nanda Gopa Kumaraya
Kumaraya
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna. We are studying about the activities of Parīkṣit Maharaj as inquired by the Saunika Rishis to Sutta Goswami. So Sutta Goswami mentions about in the first 10 verses, he mentioned about his marriage and his performance of sacrifices, and also he briefly mentioned about how he acted on Kali, which was dressed in a like lower man trying to attack a cow. So then next question was, they were curious why, because in the age of Kali, Kali Purush is supposed to act, that is his time. So in the inimitable time of Kali, why would Parīkṣit Maharaj attack Kali? It is his time. And also explain this only if it is related somehow to Krishna. That is how Saunika Rishi asks. Why? Because devotees are always interested only if any of these stories are related to Krishna. They are always interested in Krishna. And hearing Krishna's pastimes will take away death, it will bring deathlessness, because even Yamaraja can be invited to such programs, who is the giver of death and who is also a pure devotee, always keen to hear the pastimes of Lord. So now further pastimes of Parīkṣit Maharaj and how he conquered various directions is mentioned. So we will read the slokas now. So this section 10 to 17 and also the next section will cover. Sutta Uvacha
Uvacha
Yada Parīkṣit Kuru Jangale Vasat
Yada Parīkṣit Kuru Jangale Vasat
Kalim Pravishtam Nij Chakravartite
Kali
Kalim Prajishtam
Chakravarti
Chakravarti
Nishamya Vartam Anati Priyam Tata
Nisamyavartam Anati
Vartam
Priyam
Aniti Priyam
Tataha
Tatam
Sarasanam Sam Yuga Soundiradade.
Sarasanam
Parasanam
Yoga Soundiradade.
Sandradade.
Please read. Anyone?
Sutta Goswami said, while Maharaj Parīkṣit was residing in the capital of Kuru Empire, the symptoms of the age of Kali began to infiltrate within the jurisdiction of his state. When he learned about this, he did not think the matter very palatable. This did, however, give him a chance to fight. He took up his bow and arrows and prepared himself for military activities.
So he is preparing himself to fight Kali. Nishamya Vartam Anati Priyam Tata. Anati Priyam. Priyam means very dear. Ati Priyam means, Priyam means dear. Ati Priyam means very dear. Anati Priyam means very undear. Right? So he was, he did not like at all that the Kali has entered. Kalim Pravishtam means entrance of Kali. He did not hear like the news of Kali entering his kingdom. So he is also as a Kshatriya, he was happy to have had the opportunity to fight, right? Because Kshatriya, the spirit is there. I mean, whenever there is an opportunity to fight, Kshatriyas will be in a way pleased, even though it is not welcome, but they are also, because of their nature, they are also excited. So this did, however, give him a chance to fight. He took up his bow and arrows and prepared himself for military activities. Yeah. Now, Prabhupada is about the symptoms of Kali Yuga, which is illicit connection with women or men, indulging in meat eating. The 4 regulative principles that we try to follow will actually prevent us from the influence of Kali Yuga. Now, can you read from here, Prabhu?
Sure. A perfect Kshatriya king is always jubilant as soon as he gets a chance to fight. Just as a sportsman is eager whenever there is a chance for a sporting match. It is no argument that in the age of Kali, such symptoms are predestined. If so, then why was there preparation for fighting out such symptoms? Such arguments are offered by lazy and unfortunate men. In the rainy season, rain is predestined, and yet people take precautions to protect themselves. Similarly, in the age of Kali, the symptoms, as mentioned above, are sure to infiltrate into social life. But it is the duty of the state to save the citizens from the association of the agents of the age of Kali. Maharaja Parīkṣit wanted to punish the miscreants indulging in the symptoms of Kali, and thus save the innocent citizens who were pure in habit by culture of religion.
Even though rain is going to happen, doesn't mean that we don't protect ourselves. We immediately use an umbrella to protect ourselves. So similarly, to protect ourselves from Kali Yuga, one should indulge. So one should not indulge in those 4 activities that will infiltrate Kali's symptoms in our life. Right? So Maharaj Parīkṣit wanted to punish Kali Yuga so that there will be pure citizens at any point in time in the world. They will be protected at least. Swalankritam Shamaturanga Yojitam
Swalankrutam
Shamaturanga
Ratham Rigendra Dvajamashita Purat
Kendra Ashrita
Vritorata Swa Dvipapatti Yuktaya
Rito Rataswa Dvipapataya
Sasenaya Digvijayayo Nirgata.
Senaya Digvijayaya Nirgata.
Please read.
Maharaja Parīkṣit.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Maharaja Parīkṣit sat on a chariot drawn by black horses. His flag was marked with the sign of a lion. Being so decorated and surrounded by charioteers, cavalry, elephants, and infantry soldiers, he left the capital to conquer in all directions.
So he actually goes around the entire Bhumandala, not just Bharata Bhumi. He goes around the entire Jambudvipa. Actually, we learn about how exactly this whole the geography of planet Earth. But at this time, he basically goes around every place with his and make sure he conquers all the places. So the idea is not to physically conquer and control people. It is to protect the principles of religion. That is the goal of them. And Prabhupada compares how Parikshit's chariot was different from that of Arjuna's. Arjuna had white horses, and his chariot was marked with Hanumanji, while Parikshit Maharaj's chariot was marked with lion's flag. Bhadrasvam Ketumalam cha. Bharatam Chottaran Kurun. Purushadini Varshani. Vijitya Jagrihe Balim. Yeah, please read.
Maharaja Parīkṣit then conquered all parts of the earthly planet, Bhadrasva, Ketumala, Bharata, the northern Kuru, Kimpurusha, etc., and exacted tributes from their respective rulers.
Yeah, so he conquered, as I mentioned, the Bhumandala is divided into several dvipas. So this happened during the time of Privrata. We'll read more about this in 5th canto, but at a high level, the whole Bhumandala was divided into 7 dvipas. Dvipa means a land surrounded by water. And within each dvipa, there are several varshas. Varshas are land zones separated by mountain ranges. And the middle of these dvipas is called Jambudvipa. That's where most of the Earth planet is. And, that has 9 islands separated by 7 oceans, which, we know in this Earth planet. So Parikshit conquered all the areas, and Prabhupada very, at a high level describes this, but we'll not understand these details until we clearly understand the 5th canto. 5th canto has clear description of the geography of Bhumandala. So we'll not go into details here. Ketumala, Bhatra, Bharatavarsha, Bharatavarshe, Bharatakande, like that we offer prayers before we actually perform any samskara, because you need to tell where you are exactly, so that your blessings will be directed to your location. But anyway, so we'll not read these details here. Tatra tatro parsavanaha. Svapurvesham Mahatmanam. Ragiyamanam Chayasha. Krishna Mahatmya Suchakam. Atmanam Cha Paritratma.
Atmana
Bhagavatam
Ashwadhamno Stratejasa
Ashwadhamno
Sneham cha Vrishnipardhanam
Neham
Tesham Bhaktim cha Keshave
Tesham
Tesham Bhaktim
Kesave
Tebhyah Parama Santushta
Tebhya
Paramasantushta
Priti Ujrim Bhitalochana
Priti
Priti Vajram Vichalochana
Mahadhanani Vasamsi
Mahadhanani Vasamsi
Tadauharan Mahamana.
Tadauharan Mahamana.
Two verses combined. Please read.
Wherever the king visited, he continuously heard the glories of his great forefathers, who were all devotees of the Lord, and also of the glorious acts of Lord Krishna. He also heard how he himself had been protected by the Lord from the powerful heat of the weapon of Ashwathama. People also mentioned the great affection between the descendants of Vrishni and Pritha due to the latter's great devotion to Lord Keshava. The king, being very pleased with the singers of such glories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them very valuable necklaces and clothing.
So Maharaj Parīkṣit was visiting all these various planetary systems. It's far beyond, Bharatvarsha, like the Bharatakanda that we know. But the glories of Lord Krishna and his forefathers were well known everywhere. And most importantly, when they're glorifying their forefathers, they're always glorifying about how his great forefathers were, protected by Krishna. Krishna Mahatmya Sochakam. So Pragimyamanam cha Yashaha, they're glorifying these Mahatma. Swapurvesham. Swapurvesham means the forefathers. Mahatma, they're all great souls. But why they are great souls? Because Krishna Mahatmya Sochakam, they're all in connection with Krishna. Because they're all connected to Krishna, they were all glorious. So again, Atmana means how Parīkṣit Maharaj was protected from Ashwadhama's Brahmastra by the mercy of Krishna again. So Bhagavatam always very clearly brings out the devotion aspect to Krishna everywhere, in every situation. Right? So in this way, even though his forefathers were great, they were powerful by themselves, they're always praised in connection with Krishna. Right? Yeah, so because Parīkṣit, generally when someone praises, they expect praise to themselves. But here he is hearing the praise in connection with Krishna, and Krishna is the focus for all the adoration. Sometimes people will not be very happy with such praises, especially Kshatriyas. They expect praise to themselves. But because Parīkṣit was a pure devotee, he does not mind. He actually was very happy. Paramasantushta. Tebhyah Paramasantushta. Means he is extremely pleased. And what did he do? He actually, Mahadhanani Vasamsi, he was giving great gifts for those people who are actually praising their connection, this family's connection with Krishna. Right? Mahadhanani Vamsamsi, Tadauharan Mahamana. Right? People also mentioned the great affection between the descendants of Vrishni and Pritha due to latter's great devotion to Lord Keshava. The king, being very pleased with the singers of such glories, right, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them very, very valuable necklaces and clothing. Please read.
Yes, Maharaj. The devotees are glorified by the presence of Lord because they cannot live for a moment without the presence of the Lord and his different energies. The Lord is present for the devotee by his acts and glories, and therefore Maharaj Parīkṣit felt the presence of the Lord when he was glorified by his acts, especially when he was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother.
Yeah, devotees cannot live without Lord for a moment. And similarly, Lord is like that. Lord is always bound by the love of his devotees, right? Saradhya Parasada Sevana Sakya Dhautya Virasanānugamana Stavana Pranaman Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnor Bhaktim Karoti Nipatis Charanara Vinde. It's a very beautiful verse. Let's read again. Saratya Parasada Sevana Sakya Dautya Virasanānugamana Stavana Pranamam Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Parinitam Cha Vishnor Bhaktim Karoti Nipatis Charanara Vinde. Yeah, please read this.
Maharaja Parīkṣit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, who is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaja Parīkṣit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord.
So, all the people who he was visiting while conquering, they were praising how Lord is very, he performed all kinds of duties to Pandavas. Right? He was the chariot driver for Arjuna. Then, on behalf of Pandavas, he visited Kauravas to bring the peace mission between Pandavas and Kauravas to stop the war. He was a peace messenger. He was a friend, very dear friend of Arjuna. During the Kurukshetra war, he was acting as a night watchman for Pandava camp, entire Pandava camp. And in so many ways, he protected, before that Bhima and the whole Pandavas from being, set on fire. And many ways, he helped, Arjuna acquire so many capabilities. So in this way, he was always acting in all types of ways, right? He acted like a servant, he acted like a friend, he acted like a watchman. And according to the will of the Pandavas. So that is very touching to hear for Parīkṣit Maharaj. So he was internally overwhelmed with joy for the Lord's grace upon his forefathers. He was obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances. Whenever he visits Pandavas, he would touch the lotus feet of, he would touch the feet of Yudhishthira Maharaj and Bhima because they were elder to him, right, by age. And then Arjuna would hug him and Nakula and Sahadeva would fall at the feet of Krishna. So hearing this would overwhelm Parīkṣit Maharaj. Hearing would, and why does he do that? There is a reason mentioned here. Snigdhesu Pandushu. Snigdhesu means the devotees, these devotees, the Pandavas, they are very, very malleable to the will of the Lord. Lord is malleable to the will of the Pandavas, because originally Pandavas are malleable to the will of the Lord. They do according to the plan of Lord. They execute. They are fully aligned. They don't cross the line. They are fully aligned with the desire of the Lord. Snigdhesu Pandushu. Snigdhesu means who are very malleable to the will of the Lord. Right? So yeah, this is the key. So this is the reason Lord was ready to act like a servant, like a night watchman, or as a chariot driver, because the devotees are so malleable to the will of the Lord. They have no one but Lord to depend upon. And similarly, Lord feels the same way to the devotees as a reciprocation. Yeah, please read.
Maharaj Parīkṣit, as a pure devotee of the Lord, could appreciate the Lord's transcendental reciprocation of the feelings of his devotees, and thus he himself also was overwhelmed with the dealings of the Lord. Simply by appreciating the dealings of the Lord with his pure devotees, one can attain salvation. The Lord's dealings with his devotees appear to be ordinary human dealings, but one who knows them in truth becomes at once eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. The Pandavas were so malleable to the will of the Lord that they could sacrifice any amount of energy for the service of the Lord. And by such unalloyed determination, they could secure the Lord's mercy in any shape they desired.
So, so the meta point is, we should also be malleable to the will of the Lord. So how do we become malleable to the will of the Lord? By following the instructions of the devotees of the Lord. Right? For example, the instructions of Srila Prabhupada in his books, instructions of our spiritual master, Siksha, as well as Diksha Gurus. So that is how we become malleable to the will of the Lord. So when you become malleable, Lord will become malleable to you as well. Right? He is also equally conquerable. Tasaivam vartamanasya
Vartamanasya
Purvesham vrittima anvaham Atidure kilascharyam Yadashittan nibodhame.
Now you may hear from me of what happened while Maharaj Parīkṣit was passing his days hearing of the good occupations of his forefathers and being absorbed in thought of them.
So Maharaj Parīkṣit was hearing about his great forefathers. Dharma padaikena charan Prichati smrishu vadanam Sorry. Dharmaha padaikena charan Vichayam upalabhya gam Chati smrishu vadanam Vivatsam iva mataram. Please read.
The personality of religious principles, Dharma, was wandering about in the form of a bull, and he met the personality of earth in the form of a cow, who appeared to grieve like a mother who had lost her child. She had tears in her eyes, and the beauty of her body was lost. Thus, Dharma questioned the earth as follows.
So while he was wandering around, Parīkṣit Maharaj was wandering around different places, he saw at one place Dharma in the form of bull. He meets cow, who is actually the personality of earth, who is actually grieving. Right? She was grieving as if she lost her child. Right? She had tears. Cow has tears in her eyes, and beauty is lost. So then Dharma asks cow, or the bull asks the cow. So you see the bull here in this picture. Bull is sitting here. Bull actually has lost 3 legs, and here is the cow. Right? Cow is lamenting with tears in her eyes. Bull is already in a bad shape, but she is asking the lamentable situation of the cow. So now this is a different section. Dharma's questions about Dharani's lamentation. Dharma in the form of bull, Dharani in the form of cow. They're asking questions. Dharma is asking questions to cow or Dharani. Mother Earth is going to answer, but before that there will be a bunch of questions. Yeah.
The bull is the emblem of the moral principle, and the cow is the representative of the earth. When the bull and the cow are in a joyful mood, it is to be understood that the people of the world are also in a joyful mood.
So in the olden days, bull, bull represented. Bull is like, she's the bull is not she. He is used for cultivation. He is the instrumental in all the cultivation. People. So bull represented moral principles. Now bull's legs were cut, right? Bull or dharma. So when bull and cow are happy in a state, naturally people in that state will be happy. But unfortunately, in current society, they maintain big slaughterhouses to kill the cows and bulls, right? So that's why people in general cannot be happy. Wherever there is, killing of the cow and killing of the bull, there cannot be any true joy in that state. So that's why in current time and days, people are always anxious. Huh? There is no true happiness. Physically, they may be happy, but that is not everything. There is not real mental or emotional happiness. Forget about spiritual happiness. Dharma uvacha. Now bull is speaking.
Dharma uvacha.
Kachid bhadre namayam atmanaste. Chayasi mlayateshan mukhena. Alakshaye bhavatim antaradhim. Dure bandhum sochasi kanchanamba. Please read.
Dharma, in the form of a bull, asked, "Madam, are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief? It appears by your face that you have become black. Are you suffering from some internal disease, or are you thinking of some relative who is away in the distant place?"
So now she is trying to inquire why the cow is sad. She is asking various questions. Why is your face so, looks so grief-stricken? Are you worried about a missing relative in a distant place? Are you missing some people in your life? Yeah, so this is actually indicating these are all symptoms of Kali. In Kali Yuga, people, for example, travel a lot, and even children miss their parents oftentimes, because the parents are both busy at work, right? So these are all, he's going to cover some symptoms of Kali Yuga now. There is going to be a lot of diseases in this age. Right? Are you suffering from some internal disease? And your face looks very dark, means you will see people with anxiety and with, rings under the eyes, right? So those are all symptoms of Kali Yuga. Yeah, so these are but some important factors which make people of this age very unhappy. So here Prabhupada mentions about this. I'll not read, but to earn a livelihood, I explained already. Father lives at a place. Could have read, but it's okay. So let's, further symptoms will be there. So we can read the translation directly. Can you read? Anyone?
I have lost my 3 legs and am now standing on one only. Are you lamenting for my state of existence, or are you in a great anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because of their sufferings due to famine and drought?
So in Kali Yuga, so dharma will be standing on one leg, right? So he is asking, Dharma is asking the cow, are you sad because, Dharma lost 3 legs and is standing, on the final leg, and which will be also gone by the end of Kali Yuga. And then there will be dissolution and restart of Satyuga. Or are you because, are you sad because there will be a lot of meat eaters in this age, in Kali Yuga? That is the truth of, 98% of population eat meat in Kali Yuga. Are you sad because there won't be any sacrifices? In Kali Yuga, nobody performs demigod sacrifices. And because there is no sacrifice, there will be always a lot of, famine and droughts all over the world, right? Are you suffering because, are you grieving because there is going to be a lot of droughts in the near time because of the symptoms of Kali Yuga, people of the Kali Yuga? So these are his, Bull's questions to, Dharma's questions to Mother Earth. So Prabhupada explains in detail. The same concepts, we'll just skip. Yeah, please read this translation.
Translation. Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because the goddess of learning is being handled by Brahmanas addicted to acts against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the Brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahmanical culture?
Yeah, these are all further symptoms of Kali Yuga. A lot of women will be exploited, unhappy women and children. Generally, those are protectable. The society should protect those classes of people, women and children and old age people. But all of these, now we see old age people are unprotected. Similarly, children will be also unprotected as the age goes by. And also, Brahmanas, they only work for money. Earlier, Brahmanas, were independent and they would guide the Kshatriyas. But Brahmanas are now after rich Kshatriyas, or they're not interested in, they're interested in economy very much. So they'll not be following the principles of religion properly. They're only after money. And so the even administrative class, who were always following the principles of taught by the Brahminical culture, they don't care for Brahmanas anymore. They are independently ruling the country like tyrannies. So are you sad for all these changes that are happening in Kali Yuga? So those are the questions by Dharma to the Mother Earth. So these are all symptoms of, so Prabhupada explains all these things. Yeah, so can you read this?
Sure, Prabhu. The Brahmanas are specifically restricted from accepting such service. But in this age, they will not only accept service, but they will do so even if it is of meanest quality. These are some of the symptoms of the Kali age, which are harmful to the general welfare of human society.
Brahmanas are like the head of the body, right? So legs are Sudras, belly is Vaishyas, and the hands are represented by Kshatriyas, and head is represented by Brahmanas. How well can we function if head is missing? If a hand is missing, if a leg is missing, you can still function somehow. But if head is missing, it's very difficult to function. So the Brahmanas are supposed to be, completely, always God conscious and never looking for any profit, and simply give good advice to other, ashramas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. But if Brahmanas do not do that duty, naturally the Kshatriyas will be just, will be focused on conquering people without caring, what is right, what is wrong. And Vaishyas do not care anything but for profit. They'll just go after making more and more money. And Sudras, they would always revolt against all the other classes. They won't want to fight. They don't want to work for others. They want to become independent. So like the communists, right? So in this way, the whole society won't function if if their head is missing, everything else will not function properly. Just give me 1 second. I have somebody ring the bell. Just 1 second. Yeah, sorry. So Brahmana is a very important class for the society. Brahmana is not one born as to Brahmana parents. It is by quality. So Brahmana class destruction is the beginning of Kali Yuga, right? Degradation of Brahmanas. Yeah, further influences of Kali Yuga. Please read.
The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali, and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc. and they're all inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this?
Yeah, he was explaining how Earth would be unhappy because of the influence of Kali, because the administrators will be like complete, like they are conquerors, right? They're only after conquering, like Alexander the Great, just conquer land after land, right? They put all the state affairs into disorder. There is no, it's just for his own profit. Right? There is no morals. And then general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, and mating. So they don't follow any principles. They can eat anything and sleep anywhere, drink as they want, and mate, right? Anywhere. So these are all symptoms of Kali Yuga. We see that today, right? So many clubhouses, this and that, they have spoiled all these things, all these eating, sleeping, mating, and drinking. These habits are very much spoiled in Kali Yuga. Are you unhappy because of this? Yeah. We see all the symptoms in Kali Yuga, but as the age progresses, it will only increase. Yeah. So Prabhupada in the purport explains, so in how Ajamila, who was a Brahmana, innocent Brahmana, he was just for once, he sees this a Sudra pair who were, performing the act of, sexual embracing. And this boy was just attracted to her, and he falls down from the platform of Brahmana and performs nonsense with that lady. And then he produces children. And so just by watching that incident once, Ajamila was totally conquered. From being a pure Brahmana, he becomes a debauchery completely. So now in Kali Yuga, as the age advances, there are these opportunities much more easily available to anybody and everybody. So you can see how fast the society can degrade in the current age of Kali Yuga, right? Earlier you can search for anything in just a split second. Google can bring you everything. Now ChatGPT can guide you also to do all nonsense as you wish, right? So the technology is advancing and making things much easier. It's like a very powerful tool in one who is not really competent to use the tool, right? Not everybody is mentally controlled to use everything, all the technology available in the right way. In fact, 90% of people are not competent in the right to use in the right way. Now they have a powerful tool, and what do? They are going to basically make themselves the victim of the tool. Yadvambate bhuri bharavatara
Yadvambate bhuribhara
Kritaavatarasya harer dharitri antarhitasya smarati visrishta karmani nirvana vilambitani. Yeah, please read.
O Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, incarnated himself as Lord Sri Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. All his activities here are transcendental and they cement the path of liberation. You are now bereft of of his presence. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence.
Mm. So, Lord left already at this time. That is why Kali's influence is there already. And so finally, the Dharma is asking Mother Earth, is it because of the, Lord Krishna leaving this planet that you are so miserable right now? Are you now bereft of his presence? Because especially Lord is very, very merciful to Mother Earth. Right? For example, when Mother Earth was put into water by Hiranyaksha, Lord in the form of Sonaka, he would lift her. See, this is so many times Mother Earth was protected by Lord. He had a lot of affection for Mother Earth. And Mother Earth also is very, very happy during the presence of Lord. And just that Lord has left. So are you unhappy because you do not have the presence of Lord anymore on earth? So are you feeling bereft of his activities that are performed on your body? Thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence? Yeah. Please read.
Simply by remembering such activities, one can defy the pleasure derived from nirvana and reach their transcendental abode of the Lord to associate with him, eternally engaged in his blissful, loving service.
So nirvana is refers to here for the liberation from the modes, right? Liberation literally means liberation from the influence of the modes. Generally, Brahma Nirvana or the merging into Brahman is considered the lowest form of liberation or the lowest form of thing that the spiritualists try to achieve. So, but Prabhupada in the purport says, just remembering the activities of Lord is far more pleasure giving than even the happiness derived from nirvana. Yeah. Idam mama chakshvatavadhimulam
Idam mama
vasundhareyena vikarshitasi
Vasundharena vikarshitasi
kalena vate balinam bali yasha surarchitam kim hitamamba saubhagam. Please read.
Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcibly taken away all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigods.
Mother Earth is full of is a reservoir of all riches. People are living for so many ages, and she is able to fulfill the desires of everybody, right? So far, she could take care of everybody's needs for air, water, food, and also shelter and everything else, right? And so many generations of people have come, and so many ages have passed. So many Chaturyugas have passed. Still, she is able to supply because she is full of reservoir. She is a reservoir of all riches, and her reservoirs of riches are divine in nature. Because those riches are awarded to her by Lord. But at certain point in time, when she is morose, it appears as if her riches were taken away from her. Now she is looking very weak after Lord has left and the influence of Kali has fully taken over her existence. So she is, thinks that she is bereft of good fortune right now. Right? Yeah, so I think we can end here. This is the last verse. And then now Mother Earth starts speaking. Dharani is Mother Earth speaking. So these are the questions by Dharma. You see the section here. Dharma's questions about Dharani's lamentation. So these are the reasons that he offered as to why Mother Earth is sad. We read all these: exploitation of meat eaters, demigods bereft of sacrificial offerings, suffering of others, unhappy women and children, mishandled, goddess of learning, right? Because Brahmanas were not sticking to their job, disrespectful Brahmanas, Kshatriyas were disrespecting Brahmanas, administrative disorders, unrestricted people, following, or breaking all the regulated principles. Lord's absence were those the reasons. That was this section. And before that, we discussed about this section. How he heard everywhere he went, he was hearing about the glories of his forefathers in their connection with Krishna. Right? So we read this verse twice. Okay, so that's the end of the class. Any questions?
One question. So out of 4 legs of Dharma, which one leg is left now? Or which one leg is standing now?
If I remember correctly, I think it is truthfulness.
Okay, so that's very.
I'll confirm exactly. I think that is only partially left.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is truthfulness.
Yeah. So let me just quickly